Hey everyone, it's Sam McKay here from Enterprise DNA. Today we're going to go over something really, really cool. So we're going to go through how you can build a model and then optimize your model through running scenarios and then exploring or running sensitivity on those scenarios and saying, okay, well, what is the most optimized scenario? What is the best scenario for us to achieve what we want to achieve? And then I'm going to show you how you can bring that all back into your data model and then be able to dynamically go and search for your optimized scenario for any element within your data. I mean, this is honestly why Power BI is just, in my view, just so superior to running this type of analysis in Power BI, because you have, not in Excel, because you have the power of the data model sitting in behind here, and it enables you to dynamically really drill into these scenarios and see, well, is there a difference between one element in our data model where the scenario is X versus another element in our data model where the scenario might be something different, or the optimized scenario might be something different. So I've just set up a dashboard here, and instead of recreating this entire dashboard, I'm going to just walk through the steps that I actually utilize to actually achieve this. Now, the key thing here is you want to start, you've got to get your model set up correctly, or you've got to get your model set up well. So it's a pretty simple data model here. You've got your dates, your customers, products, and regions, right? So these are your lookup tables, and then they all have relationships down to your sales table. But now what I did here, and I set this up a little while ago, because what you could do in more recent versions of Power BI Desktop is you could actually use the what if feature, but that is not currently in this one because this is an old Power BI model. So what I did is I manually went and created these three scenario tables, or three scenario supporting tables, where in those tables, they're really simple. So in those tables, it's where I've created scenarios where we can shock demand, where we can shock the cost of something, and where we can shock the price of something. If you've watched some of my other videos, I call this multi-layering of scenarios, a multi-layered approach to scenarios, because really we've got these three elements, these three variables that we can thread through into our calculations, and then that can run multiples of scenarios. I mean, there's so many different scenarios, and this is ultimately how we're going to run the sensitivity to then see, well, what's the most optimized scenario in this current environment. If one of these we were able to reach this sort of forecast, or this sort of scenario in our demand, and this sort of scenario in our pricing or in our costs, what is the ultimate impact to our total profits or our total sales or something like that? One of the other things that I've just realized I could add really effectively here is actually some dates. So I'm just going to add a date slicer as we chat. And I think this actually adds a really strong element to the model too, because what we can do is at the moment we're actually we're actually looking at everything through time. I've just realized, so we might actually want to be able to drill into a specific time frame, and then that's going to change. I mean, that's how awesome the model is as well. The Power BI data model is as well, right? Is that you can very quickly change even the time frame, and then that's going to change the sensitivity. I mean, there's just so much superior to anything else before. I just hope that you can actually see that, and hopefully you can you can see and understand exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so what I've done, right, is I created those scenarios, those scenario supporting tables. Very simple to do. You can do it in the what if feature, the what if parameter feature that's now available in a more updated version of Power BI. And then what I did was I went and threaded all of those different things through. And this is the multi-layered approach to scenarios. I threaded those through to my formulas, right? These are iterating functions. You can isolate any element that you are looking at in a particular row, and you can shock it. And that's exactly what I've done here. But instead of showing like overall results, I want to actually show the sensitivity. And that is what's seriously cool. If you think about these tables, right, they're not even joined into anything in our model. They're supporting tables. They sit outside our model. I say they sit outside your model. And you use formula to integrate these into your model. And we're using that multi-layered approach inside of iterating functions, the scenario profits formula. We are using those inside of here to then create these sensitivities. Because if you think about it, this chart here, right, this is showing the change in a price of, so we've got I've created a matrix, right? And I've brought in, if you check out this, I've brought in on the rows and the columns, I've brought the change in price. So the rows down here, this is the change in price. And across the top in the columns, we've got the demand change. So we can see over any time frame what the change in demand and also the change in price, forecasted price, would actually do to our results. And then within the matrix, you can use the conditional formatting, and so that's another really awesome element. You can use the conditional formatting to actually color those in. So in this case, it's going to be always a pretty obvious optimization, because you're always going to see in the bottom right hand side, that's where the best result is going to be, because obviously if prices change and they go higher, and also your demand goes higher, then you're going to receive much better results. What I would probably do here is, you probably actually want to put it, and I didn't actually do this, is you should put 0% in here if this is the type of sensitivity type of stuff you're trying to do, because you probably actually do want to home in on, okay, well, what is the forecasted result, and then in and around that, you're going to have, okay, well, here are all these scenarios that we've run. Here's the sensitivity on the scenarios. And then down here, we're actually looking at, okay, well, we've got change of demand up the top, and we've got change in cost down the bottom. So if costs decrease and our demand increases, then we're going to achieve much better results up the side, up in the top right-hand corner here. So as I mentioned, you can change time, which is seriously amazing, but you can also, and this is the power of the data model, you can also include any element or any, in a dynamic way, you can really drill into aspects of your data. So anything inside my model, I could filter on my customers, my products, my regions, etc. You can do multiple at the same time. You can still run these sensitivities in these very specific regions. And where this might be relevant, right, is you might have, particular retail stores you want to dive into, particular regions, regional managers, so on and so forth. Customer subsets, you might want to say, okay, well, to our best customers, we want to give the most promotions, so we're going to reduce the pricing on, to our best customers. That actually might increase demand. That might, and then we want to drill into just that subset of customers versus another, and that's how you can really produce this sort of insight at scale. It's just seriously amazing. Okay, so I'm going to wrap things up there. I just wanted to show you how you can optimize these scenarios, right? It's basically running sensitivity analysis on the fly, and how effectively and how quickly you can do it. All I've done is, this is the only, complex formula in this entire thing, but all it requires really, it's not that complex. All it requires is an understanding of iterating functions, and that's the key. You want to understand what an iterator does. An iterator iterates through every single row of a table in which you specify. In this case, it's the sales table. We're iterating through every single row. This is the sales side. This is the cost side. That minus that is the profits, and then this is what all of these variables inside of here is integrating into this formula to then create the result. So a little bit there, right? A little bit there, but guess what? You can download this resource. All it requires small investment, and you can get this one as well as many others that are aligned to Enterprise DNA TV TV videos. So really good package there. Check out the description and below the video. Okay, so hopefully you can see the potential here. You could take this even further, and in the future I'm going to show you how you can take this even further. And it's just a matter of how you want to make the visualization as compelling as possible. I've tried to add some color in here. I've tried to make it a little bit better. There's certainly more improvements you probably could make, but it does look, I would say, relatively compelling. There's a lot of functionality. You're getting the results that you want. There's a dynamic drilling effect that allows you to really drill into specific pieces of information. So heaps of really good stuff there. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to Enterprise DNA TV. If you enjoyed the content covered in this particular tutorial, please throw the video a like. It really helps us, and we really appreciate it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Enterprise DNA TV channel. We have a huge amount of content coming out all the time from myself and a range of content creators, all dedicated to improving the way that you use Power BI and the Power Platform. Lastly, check out Enterprise DNA's website. Plenty of resources and further learning that you can access very easily. All the best. Take care.